In this video, I'll show you a complete tutorial on how to combine Google Stitch and Claude Code and build a world-level websites like this in a few hours. This video would also be relevant to people building with other agentic tools like Anti-Gravity, Cursor, Codex. Doesn't matter whether you're an experienced developer or just getting started, the concept remains the same. No more words, let's get started. Before we start building, let's be clear in our intention. So we want to build a visually striking personal website, and we are going to use awards as style reference and as inspiration point. If you don't know, awards is a professional platform for web designers where they publish their works and community votes for that. So it's kind of a good place to find good designs. And we are going to use two tools, Google Stitch 2.0 for web design and Claude Code for vibe code. Let's go to awards and see what's going on there. So as you can see, it is just a website where we can find a lot of inspirations. People do very sharp designs, and actually I found already the reference I want to use. Just disclaimer, we will not copy this website. We will use that as inspiration and build something completely new. But here's the website that I'm going to use in this video. And yeah, now it's time to start working in Stitch. As you can see, we do have a Stitch here. My project panels where all your project kept, the chat. In chat, what we can do here, we can upload some files, and actually I want to upload some of them as references. We also can add some links. We have possibility to choose whether we want to build application, mobile application, or web application. In my case, it's going to be web application. We can choose model, the cheapest model, which is Flash, and the Pro model. I want to go with Pro. We can redesign, ideate, can explore a bit later. But also what is important that we can discuss about two common strategies to use Stitch. And the first would be to just put a large prompt like this and expect the model to handle it and generate the website that you want. As you can see in my screen right now, I do have some instructions to create a personal website with such requirements like header, like manifesto sections, repealer section, and yeah, basically I'm kind of describing everything that I want to put on that website. About me section, footer section, I also telling about what content I want to use. So this is the first strategy, and I would just want to say in advance that it is wrong strategy because this tool will not handle and just make bad output on this. So the second strategy would be just to iterate and use very concise prompts with direct instructions and update just or create one thing at a time. And this is what Stitch recommends as in official documentation. But let's just quickly explore what happens if we just prompt everything that we know and what Stitch can output for us. So I just start the generation and yeah, let's see. So we've been transferred to Canvas, and these are my references. We can notice that the Stitch already started working. Actually, Gemini started working, and agent log is a log of your prompts. Here we can see what agent responds to us. In our case, it is saying that I create a personal website for Andrew Korshak, heavily inspired by the sleek, dark, high contrast aesthetic of the Askent references. I'll start by setting up a design systems that captures the words level feel, including the custom liquid glass style buttons for cards and sliders. And yeah, actually this is a design system that it proposes to us. Have you seen blue color here? I haven't. And yeah, actually it's a great point. I've seen some videos, of other people, and they just saying it is Figma killer. Everybody will be replaced. No, it's it's not ideal. You need to put a lot of effort to get into it, and I'll show you in this video how to really achieve result. And this is just confirmation that I mean, you will see the output here. So it's not that kind of magic tool where you just make this and everything happens. But coming back to exploring interface, the chat window, we can switch models, we can input, we can make voice inputs, etc. So, but yeah, this is the output of that prompt, and as you can see, like it is a slope, right? And what I want to do, I want to go with you to Stitch docs and just spend a minute to understand what is better. So what they say, refine your app by iterating screen by screen. And they suggest to be specific and tell Stitch what to change and how. And the example of prompt can be change the primary call to action button and on the login screen to be larger and use the brand's primary blue color. So the idea that you just start with simple prompt to generate layout for your website, and then you just tell about specific things that you want to add. For example, I want to add header. Put header like this, and then I want these fonts in header, I want this button style in header, I want this title, I want these cards, I want this footer. So that's the idea of iterative development with Stitch. And coming back to projects, I want you to show my project and like the result that I achieved. So to save your time, I do not want to generate everything from scratch right now. I'll just show you the way how I was thinking and how I built the the final design. So I used exactly the same references as we've seen before, and this is a design system that has been generated, and I got the first screen like this. And what I did, I just asked Stitch to build for me next sections. Here, just saying that a personal website for Andrew Korshak should have a header, a wow effect hero, and an abstract background for other sections and footer. The visual style should be words level and heavily inspired by the reference provided. And after that, I've got this screen. And I just started to prompting, and I just started iterating on these designs. As you can see here, for example, I added text, and let's see what's inside of this prompt. So what I said to Stitch, instead of selected works section, put a section with the following text. Most people talk about AI, and this is exactly what we see as output here. So I guess you got the idea, right? That you cannot just put one prompt and get ideal result that you expect. You need to work, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, like a few hours to achieve your best design. And basically, as you can see, I prompted a lot. I really spent like maybe an hour or so, maybe even 2 hours, but eventually I got this design. Let me show you. So this is something that I really like, and what basically I wanted to do with this design. I wanted Stitch to hold all these components because in terms of content, I was happy, but I wanted just to change this background and just experiment with that. And the interesting option that you can choose here to click to generate multiple variations. So if you either choose this option or you go to generate and you generate variations. So this is exactly what gives you some variations. And let's explore, the background that I got after that. So the backgrounds, as you can see, absolutely different, and I have a variety of options to choose, which is kind of cool. And for our showcase, I would probably go with this screen. And also you have option to open this on different devices, for example, desktop. Let's open preview of desktop version and see what we've got. All right, this is Hero, and my manifesto, cards where I asking people to follow my YouTube, to offer some mentoring and community, and my experience, footer where collecting emails, and it's crazy that you can achieve such quality just in hour or 2 hours. So yeah, and also it's absolutely responsive to different devices. This is the iPad version and the mobile version. So I would say it is great. Let's come back to projects and see how we can export this thing. So we have multiple options. If you work with Figma, you can export to Figma. If not, zip folder will contain design MD file, which help your agents to understand better this design, and also HTML version of this website that you can actually use for your React components and just instruct agent to translate it HTML to React components. And also you can use Stitch MCP server and just pull all your screens and just pull into your agentic tool everything that you need. And this is the way I go to set up Stitch MCP. It's pretty straightforward steps that you need to follow. Just go to stick documentation and you need to get your API key and run that command that adds MCP server to your agentic tool. In my case, it will be Claude Code, and I already done this. I don't see that you will have any issues with setting MCP up. So let's just go to Claude Code and actually build this. I just opened VS Code and let's run Claude. What I have here, it is just a folder with the starter Next.js project, absolutely clean. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to instruct Claude to use Stitch MCP server and pull my design. Hey Claude, I want you to use Stitch MCP server and pull a design that we are going to work on. Pull all the data that you need, the design MD file, the screen that I'm going to provide as reference right now. Just dictated my prompt, and I also want to put this screen name. Oh, actually, I'm sure if it will work out because it misunderstood to use Stitch MCP. But it actually understood. Wow, Stitch MCP. Right. Okay, I only see a SkyDraw MCP server right now, no Stitch MCP server. Let me check Stitch tools since you mentioned the design screen. Wow. Okay, so we understood each other, which is great. Yeah, let's proceed. So yeah, it just found the screen that I need. The idea is here, and the title exactly something that matches the title I provided. So yeah, it actually works. Cool. Got all the data. Now let me fetch the HTML code and screenshot of the screen. All right, gotcha. Let's do the job. So I literally saying yes to everything. I have now everything. Screen, all right. Screen, Andrew Korshak, home, architectural avoids, project, Andrew Korshak, personal website showcase, design system, cinematic editorials, digital creator. So it got all the properties and the design MD file on the screen. So ready to implement this as Next.js page. What would you like to start with? Let's plan what you would offer to implement me. Yeah, I would probably plan to understand better what we are going to do. I want to feel at least some control over that, because I'm driver, you are executor. So yeah, this is the plan that we've got. Implementation plan, foundation, global CSS, tailwind, v4. All right, do this, layout, root shell, all the fonts. Okay, and components here. Okay, so you know my point that it shouldn't be a complicated website. I just want to let it go. So let's go. Let's go with implementation. Good, I'll implement all 10 files. Let me go. Of course, let's go. So now we created next config. So the images are hosted on ls3 googleusercontent.com. I would probably host that image, within my project, because it just makes more sense. It's not the large image, but for illustrative purpose, just let's let it go. So I see that it is already started implementing components. All right, seems it's just finished the job. Absolutely amazing. Let's run build and let's run the application. Clean build, everything compiles with 0 errors or warnings. So run npm dev to see it live. Of course. Let's see if we're successful. Nice. So this is website, and as you can see, all the sections are here. Obviously all buttons doesn't work right now because I need to invest some time to integrate with Calendly, with Superbase to collect emails, to put some efforts to make it actually live, to deploy it on Vercel. But I hope you get idea that you can build something just in a few hours, and it looks pretty good. And I wouldn't imagine that a few years ago we had such opportunity to do such things in such short period of time. I would say that Google Stitch is a great product. It unlocks for builders who are not familiar with design to do designs actually, right? But it's not a magical tool where you just put one prompt and it gives you exactly what you want, what you imagined. It still needs some patience, some iterations, but if you can have that goal, you eventually achieve it. Please let me know your feedback about this video. Maybe you wanted me to show how to deploy actually such applications to real environments to make it live, or you have any other suggestions. I'm always reading comments and make sure to respond to you. Also, I recently released a video about Claude Code learnings. To be honest, I'm working on complex projects with a lot of dependencies, and I put a lot of effort to do that video, so make sure to watch it. It should appear somewhere here, and I hope to see you in the next video as well. Bye.